Here's our end of September, almost October tour. Things are certainly fading, and the deer have found the garden. A lot of my larger hostas got devoured last weekend when we were away, as well as the tops of all of these impatiens. Kind of interesting to see what plants they actually ate. So this hosta right by the dog, my big daddy in the back, my brother Stefan, the tops of these impatiens towards the front, some of the heuchera leaves. They ate the top of my variegated phlox, which had bloomed out right over there. And they were little hoof prints, so I'm assuming some youngsters took advantage. And unfortunately, this time of year, things are just looking tired. And that's okay, because so am I. And then that hosta, all of the big leaves the deer got. Oh, there must be a mouse family living in that house. Oh, little hunter. Easy, Fiona. So annuals are still looking good, other than the impatiens that our dear friends ate all the blossoms off. But what they did leave, beautiful. A little disappointed by some of my rudbeckias. They didn't bloom quite as strongly as usual. I am leaving the seed heads up for the birds. Oh, there goes that birdhouse. Yeah, this time of year, just kind of maintenance mode. I'm almost ready to just clean everything out so it's nice and tidy again. I ended up planting those purple ornamental peppers down here. I had them in a pot. They just didn't look right. And I had some holes. I am going to be putting down more deer and vole repellent. And this, I'm just trying to tidy up. So it's a new bed, just started it this year. Some of the plants performed, some not so much. I plant everything close to the rock wall, just because this was all grass previously. So I'm trying to make it into a garden, even though it's very wet in the spring. So some of these that are really reaching for the sun midsummer, I'm going to plant closer. Like obviously that variegated willow is not happy, but it does have a giant bald spot, so I don't really know what I'm going to do with that, because the back side died back last year, which is why I threw it over here to give it a chance, and the back is still kind of ugly. And it was planted in a very sunny spot last year, so I don't know what I'll do with that. Butterbur, still glorious, living its life. These are the hibiscus that are in holding until I clean out the front bed, because I would like to put those in the front of the house. They have the big bright red blooms. My colorful Coleus Garden looks glorious. Love it. I am letting them all flower now for the pollinators. Keep them happy this fall. And I did get the Clematis to bloom again after pruning it very heavily. Veggies, I've pretty much torn out most everything. It's tired. I'm very pleased that these tomatoes, the ones that were kind of salvage plants, are ripening. So that's a treat. Ground cherry got pulled, loaded with fruit. The chipmunk have eaten all the ripe ones, and it's just not ripening anymore. I don't think it's warm enough. Okra, I never actually got anything out of. It was fun to just play with it and try. Tithonia has been blown over because we've had a pretty hefty rainstorm. I have another flush of dill in the back, way over here. I more so love using that in arrangements. Cherry tomato is the only tomato I'm leaving up because it is still ripening. These marigolds have been beast plants. Pollinators are delighted that I have so many. Over here, the sweet autumn clematis bloomed. Poor thing sat in a pot almost all summer. I got it in a few weeks ago. I also transplanted some hibiscus from another garden. I thought those were goners because the weeds choked them out, but I saved that one, and there's one on the other side. My little homemade arbor. And it's true, these blooms smell delightful. So I'm excited to see that grow to its full potential next year. This garden, bit of a disaster. My cutting garden, I've just been traveling on the weekends, kind of making the most of summer. So I haven't been cutting any bouquets. It's really just zinnias and the snapdragons and gomphrena that are thriving here. And they severely need to be deadheaded, all of the blooms that have been damaged by the rain. But then I feel guilty for deadheading them because the bees and the pollinators are still going to town, even though the blooms are ugly. So I am going to be working on bringing more larger stones to edge out the border here, just to make it a little more tidy. I'm gonna have to dig up my dahlias when the time comes. There's only 2 over here. Actually, there's more than that because I have seed dahlias, the orange, and then there's yellow, and there's a beautiful pink one that's a larger size that I'm definitely gonna save. The seed dahlias I don't really care about. But harsh. And I do have some soil that I'm going to amend the beds with. The Coast of Maine rose and flower soil. And then the front garden is all in shade right now, which I'll still show that. But it's past its prime for sure. Right now, my pride and joy is my apples. The espalier did great. The zinnias have all blown over due to the rain that we've had. Obviously, some critters have found the apples on the bottom. But the top level is the Honeycrisp, and I did eat some. They're awesome. So really pleased with that. I do need to prune it again. The suckers are going crazy. So this is very tired. I dug up the sedum along the edge because so much of it just looked ragged. I'll leave what's here for next year and see how it fills in. I did pop in some kale and some mums just to replace some of the icky looking annuals I pulled. Canna lily's awesome. Obviously I need to deadhead that, and the zinnias behind it. But, oh, this grass, my Vertigo pennisetum, blew over probably 3 weeks ago. We had a really strong rain and I just never set it back up. But it's doing fine. I do have a bunch of new bulbs I'm going to be putting in next month just to fill in the tulips that I had planted here a couple years ago. And I cut that sedum back probably in June so it wouldn't flop, and it still flopped. I don't know if it's just because we got a lot of rain or what. I do know they like dry and hot. And then my elephant ear are looking a little tired over here too. But that's it for now. I might show everything again once I have it all cleaned out. We'll see how ambitious I feel.